Good morning and welcome to another episode of Moms in Real Estate in the Morning. I am extra excited because I'm here with two of my favorite people, obviously Kristen, and today is our Money Matters episode, and we have Danielle Mckinley along with us. And I'm so excited because one of the favorite things that the three of us do and are going to be talking about today in our businesses is the Augusta rule. And so are you guys like, I literally Augusta rule all over everybody. I'm like, wait, you don't know. Like
Why
everyone
do we do that? It's actually really weird that we all do that.
It's the best kept secret. It's free money. It's free money.
Well, let's start by saying like what the Augusta rule is, because we still have people in real estate that don't have an idea of what the Augusta rule is. So Danielle, you'll probably do better than me. I'm just always talking about some rich people in Georgia who couldn't get to their houses. So tell us a little bit more about what the Augusta rule is and how it started.
Sure. So the Augusta rule is a tax law. It's actually the technical section of the law is section 280AG. And it is an opportunity for you to rent out your home for up to 14 days a year and not pay a dime in income tax on that rental. So the Augusta rule came from a bunch of homeowners, like you said, in Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, that were renting their houses out to spectators for the Masters. So that's actually where the name originated. And it is one of, I believe, and I think you guys agree with me, one of the best kept secrets for tax law that we can all utilize. And many entrepreneurs today are not using it, and they should be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And one of the first, sorry, Kristen. We're obviously both excited about. We're ready to talk Augusta rule. But I think one of the things too is that one thing that I wish I would have known sooner is like there is no baseline metric to be able to implement this. And so one thing that was when I was scaling my business and I started talking to like financial strategists and CPAs and different things, there was a lot of like, oh, well, your business isn't there yet, or like you haven't got this, or you don't need this yet. And I just think back, and if only I had known that I could do this, I could have executed it as a strategy. And from day one, even if I was a new agent, been making more money and keeping more money in my family's pocket. So that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about sharing it, is because it doesn't matter if you're that brand new agent or that highly seasoned, diversified team leader, business owner, you can use this, right?
100%. And in fact, this is a really great strategy for new agents specifically, because new agents, you might still have a full-time job and you're trying to transition out into being an agent full-time. And this is a way for you to make your money back quickly without even having a transaction, because it can offset that W-2 income that you have. So you should start implementing this day one. As soon as you have an S Corp, an LLC, you have formalized a business, you should start using the Augusta rule.
Yeah. I went from an accountant to a tax strategist. So you guys all know your tax coach. She's definitely involved in Moms in Real Estate. And when she told me about the Augusta rule, I was like, I have events in my house all the time. Why has nobody told me about this? And it was like such this like, oh my gosh, moment for me. And I feel like now also like I pre-plan all my events for the year. So when I'm planning, 2026, I'll sit down and be like, okay, I will have 14 Augusta rules to accomplish in 2026. So what do I want those to look like? And it helps me plan out my year. So I love it.
Yeah. Well, and going back to, it coming out. So when you're working with CPAs, if they're telling you that you're not there yet, like Randy had mentioned, or I know, Kristen, you've mentioned to me before, even prior to this call, that you shouldn't do that. That is just a CPA. That just means you need to look into a different CPA and one that does tax strategy. So can't stress enough that CPAs are trained on following tax law in filing. They're not necessarily trained in looking for loopholes like the Augusta rules or ways to legally reduce your taxes owed. So if that's happening, that's just an indication, hey, reach out to us, reach out to your tax coach and get somebody that understands strategy.
Yeah. Should we give them an example?
That's what I was going to say. So obviously if you own your home, you can do this. Also, if you rent your home, as long as you have permission to have like events or whatnot at your home, you can still use this. And so let's give them some ideas of like what they can do within their home to leverage the Augusta rule.
Yeah. So a few things, there's requirements around it, and definitely documenting. Highly recommend working with a CPA or tax strategist to set it up the first time for you, but we'll give you an outline of it. So first things first, it's got to be legitimate business that you're using for the quote unquote event, right? So what you can do to set yourself up for success with that is research some of the rates. Like, what would it cost to rent out a boardroom in a local hotel? What would it cost to rent an Airbnb that would hold your party size or is similar square footage as your home? And that is where you'll start to determine the rate for the event that's going on, but it has to be reasonable, right? Then the next thing you want to do is make sure that you're invoicing yourself as the homeowner. So you're paying yourself, you're moving the money around through an invoice to make it legitimate that you actually paid, the business paid you, the homeowner. So that's a way to move money into your personal account through the Augusta rule without it being like a distribution normally would. And then you want to make sure that you document records of any expenses. So the paper trail, the agenda, the meeting notes, what's happening, how many people. And then the other key is you've got to make sure that you don't go over the 14 days. So the reason why Kristen was saying, hey, I have 14 Augusta rules is that if you do one over, if you do 15, you lose the tax benefit. So you only want to do 14. 14 is your max.
Yep.
Yeah. And so some ideas, like hosting a team meeting. So you could have so the thing too is, remember, it can be micro or macro. So it can be a small event or a big event. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have something huge. So if you're thinking right now as you're watching this, like, oh, my house isn't big enough to like have a huge party or a huge client event, it could be a team meeting. It could be, a dinner. It could be 2 or 3 clients over for dinner for something more small and intimate, right? It could be something big. I'm really excited. I'm doing a cookout at the compound. So my property's name is the compound, and I'm doing a cookout at the compound, and it is going to be a few hundred people. And so like Danielle said, think of, like your property. I love that you said the boardroom, Danielle, because that was like a perfect, like we have hotels. So like looking at a boardroom would be the perfect way to offset it. So think and for my property, I have goats, I have chickens. So obviously I'm pricing that with like, farm venues and not, like a regular house.
Yeah. Wedding venues, like you could look by nearby wedding venues for that many people, and that could be how you price match.
Yeah.
And then document it. Like, this is how I got that rate for this event.
Well, and just reach out. I mean, that's what I did. I reached out and I just saved their responses and their quotes and their information. I saved all of that in a file along with my invoice. And so I just have like one, package of all the information for this particular event. But you could also do strategy sessions, masterminds. Another thing that I think we don't think about is content. And so you could do filming of content in your own house. So like I, again, use my own house to take our own photos, and for years, I didn't know this. My team was coming to my house and we were taking photos in my house on my property because it fit our niche avatar, and never did I use the Augusta rule, and I could have been, right? So what are some of the other things that Kristen, you do like ladies' nights?
Mm-hmm. I do quarterly ladies' nights where I have like, Botox, facials, pop-up shops, all kinds of different things set up. So I do those 4 times. Another one that you didn't mention that I do is I do CEO days. So every quarter I have a meeting with myself. I Zoom call in specific people depending on what the meeting's about, but I'll like break them up into quarters. And I feel like it's a lower ticketed event that I do at my house, but it's definitely like one that I'm doing it no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
You can also, so like one that I've done that's unique. So first of all, let me say something. Real estate agents, this is a no-brainer. You can find 14 events to host at your house. You guys just gave us a great list. I had my cousin-in-law worked for me for many, many years when I had my compliance business. And she would come we would do quarterly strategy, and she would come like hang out with us for fun. But the nights that she stayed at my house, I treated that like a hotel and would use that as one of my Augusta rules. So that's another thing that you can do if if you're close with your team or have friends or family that work with you, that's a way to do it as well.
That's really cool. Well, and I just real quick, I want to give a real life example of this. So if you just held 12 of your team meetings at your house, and let's say you charge fair market value of $750, that's $9,000 a year. That's a $9,000 deduction for your business, and that's a $9,000 personal income that you're paying 0 taxes on. And Correct. So I want agents to think about that, like how quick $1,000 a month blended average, right, can end up in your pocket, like that easy without taxes, because that's one of the most painful things, right, is when we get a $10,000 commission, and then after taxes and after splits and after, all of our cost of sale, we're walking away with, $4,000. And so this is one of those things where it's the reverse effect. It's not like, oh my gosh, where's it going? We get to keep it all.
Yep. And you can do this. So like if you have a second home, like I have a cabin, you can do it on your second home as well. So I'm going to host a mastermind at the cabin, and that is going to be one of my Augusta rules for that property. So you can also do it at multiple properties.
Gosh, why have I not thought of that? Like, Kristen, how do we eat, sleep, and breathe the Augusta rule? And I didn't think about doing anything at the cabin.
I feel like there's a reason why I don't, and I think it's because it's an Airbnb. So I think that there was something, and I don't have enough knowledge to speak on it, so I'm not going to.
It should be like a true second home. So if it's like a rental property that you have, like I have a long-term rental in California, I can't do it on that house.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Good stuff to know. So some of the pro tips that we've already talked about today is setting the fair rental value, creating a rental agreement between you personally and your business, which your business ideally should be an LLC or an S Corp. Again, those are all conversations you can have with Danielle if you're not sure exactly how to structure that. And then ensure that everything is clean and audit proof. Just really simple. Like if somebody's questioning you, how did you come up with this price? Like, what did you do here? What did you do there? Just make sure that you actually have that data to back that. Did I miss anything?
I do meeting minutes, so I always have meeting minutes from any time I do one of the Augusta rules. And even if it's a networking event, I talk about like, why were we networking? What came of it? So, and make sure it's on your calendar. I think that's another one that's just like an easy thing. Like when you are doing and documenting this, have a calendar that has all the details in there and a link to a Google Drive with all the documentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you like, you're going to do this anyway from a business write-off standpoint where you're tracking, like Kristen does the girls' nights, for example, right? So she's going to be writing off food or entertainment or things that she's doing with it. And that's like a normal tax write-off, but it helps when you group it all together because then it's just like, it shows how organized you are if you were ever to get the word we don't like to say that starts with an A.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So when you say group it all together, like you mean like having a complete outline of your total event cost?
Like, yeah, I do the same as Kristen. I have a Google Drive where I keep each one. And so you're documenting, what were the additional write-offs beyond just the rental price for the home. Yeah. And it just keeps it more organized so that you have everything in one place if you ever need to prove what happened and what took place when you took the Augusta rule for that event.
Yeah, I remember when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, this is so much work. But then if you really think about what Randy just said and you're like, okay, I had however many meetings that equaled $9,000 for the year. Like it's work and it's money. Okay. So like when I started to think about it that way, I was like, okay, it's not like this overwhelming thing. I was like, and you definitely want to make sure you are documenting all of this stuff, even though it feels like that.
Well, and so like we're almost halfway through the year, right? So if this is something you're learning and you're like, what? You're like Randy and all of us were when we were like, why weren't we using this? You can go back. So if you carve out time, I talk to you guys about the SO2 all the time. It could be something you add into your SO2 that you're like, I'm going to go back in my next 6 SO2s and I'm going to document the ones I did in January, February, or however many you did. Don't feel like you have to start fresh, or you have to start fresh from today forward. Utilize the 14 in this year. And if you can't come up with 14 more in the second half of the year, think back to events that you might have done and just reverse engineer it. So do the same thing as you would if you were doing it in the future. Do the research, find the price, document, and you can still utilize it.
So we've talked, I love that, Danielle. Again, something that I wouldn't have thought of doing, going backwards, but so good I know, because I'm going to send today's morning show to like 50 people. I'm going to be like, yeah, Launch's morning show. Like, I don't know why you aren't doing the Augusta rule. Moms, dads, guys, girls, I'm sending it to everybody. But so we've talked about that you cannot do more than 14 days a year. And we've talked about there is like no baseline metric. Your business doesn't have to be doing X amount of volume or X amount of revenue in order for you to do this. But is there a max? So we've talked about comparable, right? We've talked about comparable, like making sure that it's likewise, but is there a max on how much you can make as long as it's comparable, or is it just making sure that the comps are comparable?
Yeah, just making sure that, if you're going to do an Augusta rule, like you might, if you did 300,000, you have the big compound event coming up, right? Throwing that at a wedding venue with hundreds of people could be $150,000 to $300,000. So it's what's the risk that you want to take? If you have all the documentation to prove it, they may ask for it when you get to that rate, right? But the max is 14. Don't do more than 14. Make it reasonable. Back it up by proving that you have the documentation to how you came up with that rate, what took place there, and then you're good. And don't implement this on your own. Work with your tax professional, especially the first time, because you need to make sure you're covering all of your bases. And if your tax professional says you're not there yet, or you shouldn't be doing this, or you didn't make enough money to take advantage of this, find a new professional to work with, because anybody can be using this.
Yeah. And so a couple of shameless plugs. Number one, don't forget Danielle is our in-house money expert. Yeah. And so one of the reasons that we've partnered with her at Moms in Real Estate is because Kristen and I have both walked through this, right? We have both become high income earners and then felt like, where the heck's the money go? And so we like learned how to make the money, but not necessarily keep the money. And now we've assembled a dream team that comes alongside Moms in Real Estate and helps, everybody. So again, if you are not a mom and you're not even in real estate, you can still contact Danielle. She is a money mentor who will help you with this stuff. Second shameless plug is for myself, because I help families escape the suburbs. And so many people get overwhelmed thinking like, how will I sustain a property? How will I do this? How will I do that? I think one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it, like you said, Danielle, is because it opens a whole new level of Augusta rule for us, right? Like we can start doing some big events and we can turn around and put that money back in. And so like one of the things I did that I'm so excited about. If you guys are watching my feed, you're probably tired of seeing grass, but we had lost our grass a couple of years ago because we had issues with our well, and the Augusta rule allowed me to, I comped out, and I probably stayed conservative. I probably could have went more, but I did around 5,000 or 6,000. So it was almost enough to replace my 4,500 square feet of grass that I lost. And I was able to replace that. So it's like, I want you to think about, also get excited about when you use this, like what can that unlock on your property and on your asset, and even small houses, even regular suburb houses. What can it unlock as far as like putting back in and increasing that asset, right? But it might also be the difference between, can I afford to actually get that family compound? Can I actually afford to get that property that I want? And this could be the hack that for 4 or 5 years you leverage and you take that property to the next level and actually get your foot in the door in something you didn't think you could afford.
And this is also a really great talking point for any of your clients that are business owners.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
okay?
so
So it's also a way to differentiate yourself as an agent, to learn about this, implement it yourself, and then just talk about it from your experience implementing it, and always point them back to a professional to protect yourself. But it gives you a really great opportunity to show them some awesome, if they want to go a little bit higher on the price point and just really separate yourself from another agent they might be talking to.
And that's so true. And I feel like I saw some staggering statistic. I don't remember what it was, but it was like 65% of Americans have like a side hustle now, right? And I would like to think that most of those Americans have been like wise enough to, position that side hustle as a business. And if they have it as an LLC or something, I mean, that is a huge talking point and added value, because it could be the mom that just has that secondary, income of like essential oils, and she doesn't know she's missing out on the Augusta rule, right? Like that's huge.
Yeah, and it's really easy. If you don't pay someone to open an LLC, contact me. I'll give you the steps. You can do it yourself. It is so simple. And as soon as you establish the business, you can start utilizing this tax law.
I'm actually literally on my way after I hang up on this call to go to my other business partner's house to throw an event, because she wants another Augusta rule on her taxes. 2025. I just thought about that. I'm like, okay, we have an event. We're hosting it at Lisa's, and we'll literally be like, no, I'll host. Like we have this like, who's gonna
it's like credit card rewards now when you're at a group dinner and you're like, I'll pay, everyone Venmo me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and when you said go backwards, it's funny because I was going to do the cookout at the compound this month, but Jordy, as we all know, and now Facebook officially knows, we finally could put it on Facebook that she's like 35 weeks pregnant. And so I was like, just in case the baby comes, we're going to wait to do the cookout until after the baby. But I had already told a few neighbors about it. And so I was like, well, I'll still just do a smaller version for my neighbors. And so I just did it, and it was simple and it was easy, and I didn't even think about it. But I absolutely did it and hosted it and had conversations. And in fact, we had a conversation about like if we can make a rule that, I'm the only agent in the neighborhood. And so, it was for business. I mean, of course, I care about my neighbors, but ultimately I host those so that they know I'm their neighborhood real estate agent, right? And so I love that even on small ones, you can go back and, leverage those.
Yeah, well, and one tip too, because I know a lot of agents get logos on like their hats or shirts or water bottles. Like that's a really great way to document, even like photo proof that it was a business activity. If you have pictures or you're passing that out, or you put your logo on napkins or things like that, is another great. And then it's a write-off too.
Well, and I was thinking about how you guys described it. So I was thinking of having just like one Google Doc with like a tab for each event. So up to 14 events. And then on side of there, like Kristen and I have some Google Docs that we use in Moms in Real Estate that just are linked. And so you could have it linked to like the images and the photos of the event and the night, you know, and things like that.
I have like a snapshot of the whole year. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have like a snapshot of the whole year, and then I have certain things that I fill in, and when I fill them in, they have links to the drive, but it's also like just a good like, okay, here's like what it was like or all the details of the whole year.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that I am moving how I do it into a template. So I just took the way that I do it and I'm making it a template, and we can happily share that. We can put it in like the newsletter or the weekly email or something like that. Or put a link to it in the replay.
Or you should just reach out to Danielle and hire her, and she'll help you with all your money.
There you go. Get the shortcut. Go and hire. I always say Moms in Real Estate's value is that Kristen and I did all the filling forward for you. And so whether it's in real estate or money, we have like found the fix, implemented the fix, and partnered with the person who helped us with the fix. So I love that so much. Well, Danielle, thank you for joining us for another episode. In case you don't know, every single month we do a Money Matters episode with Danielle, and she brings different value every single month. So tune into those. And the other 3 weeks a month, Kristen and I show up sometimes with guests, sometimes with master classes, but every single Monday we are here to help empower your business. So kick butt this week, guys.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Danielle.
Bye.